Welcome to the Once Upon an Island podcast. I'm your host, Wesley, and I am joined by my Amazing Race co-host,
Emily.
And today we're talking about the Amazing Race 34, episodes 1 and 2. And Emily is my sister, and she has graciously agreed to give Mary a break from doing every single podcast that I ever do in existence. And she agreed to cover this season of the Amazing Race. So, Emily, how are you doing?
I'm good. And honestly, after last night, I think I'm ready to sign up for some yodeling classes.
I really think, honestly, just getting right into it, I feel like we have reached the easy era of the Amazing Race, not simply because of the task, but them being able to leave in groups still. I thought that was going to be a one season thing. Them leaving at like 8 a.m., I'm like, this is gold.
They ended before dark, too.
Oh, I know. Yeah. And other seasons would be like, you check in at 3 p.m., you're leaving at 3 a.m. It's like true suffering. It's like here, it's like, oh, yeah, be done. Start after breakfast and be done before dinner. Perfect.
I know. It's wonderful for them. Not as fun for us to watch.
No, we need some night challenges. That's for sure. But yeah, I guess we got to start right away. Was the 90 minutes a success? I know it was 90 minutes with commercials, but it was like an extra 25 minutes of content without commercials. So what did you think? What did you think this episode 2 was a success with it being longer? Because I know Survivor, personal opinion, Survivor was a success with the longer episode.
I think it was. And honestly, I almost didn't notice that it was longer. Just because I feel like I didn't get bored and feel like, oh, I wish they would have ended it earlier. So I think it was a success.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. In fact, in Survivor, I felt the pacing was different, but maybe it's because I'm so used to watching. Like, I'm more used to watching Survivor episodes than I am watching Amazing Race episodes. So maybe I just felt it more watching Survivor. I liked it, but it felt different. Whereas Amazing Race, it just felt like we weren't rushing through things as much, but it was still like a high pace show, and therefore never felt like it slowed down. So It actually worked for me. I think the Amazing Race worked better 90 minutes, and Survivor did too, but I could understand an argument for why it wouldn't. But the Amazing Race definitely, I was like, wow, this is really good. I wish they would do this every week.
Yeah, I'm good with both being 90 minutes every week.
Well, so I briefly want to mention before we get deep dive into this thing, Emily and I almost said Mary. See? Mary's always on the brain. Emily and I, we're going to talk about episodes 1 and 2. I'm going to have chapter markers. So if you just want to listen to us talk about a certain episode, or you want to hear our winner analysis, because of course we're going to do our winner analysis, who we think is on track to winning. And I got to say, this season is not as easy as previous ones. Like, there's no clear cut winner as of now, which is great. Actually makes for more fun analysis. But yeah, over on Patreon, amazing. I got an Amazing Race video on there along with some Survivor videos. I greatly appreciate it. If you all want to financially support the channel, it keeps us going, makes this all possible because we don't have sponsors or advertisers. I like it that way. And I think that's all I have for preamble. We're going to be doing these Amazing Race podcasts. I believe we have 2 more scheduled. We're going to do one around the mid-season, and then we're going to do one after the finale. So Amazing Race and Survivor, unfortunately, when Survivor's on, it gets priority. That's just the way the cookie crumbles in this channel. But yeah, we'll be covering both shows, but with this one, we're going to cover the first 2 episodes today, and then next time it'll be the mid-season. So, okay, well, with that, let's episode 1. Wasn't this the first time in history they had ever started not in America? Yeah,
this is the first time. I think he mentioned that, and they started in Munich, Germany. So that was really cool to see.
Yeah, I love how on one hand I was like, this is a cheap measure, because usually what they'll do is they'll fly everyone to LA, but then I'm like, at the same time, they just fly them immediately out. Like, they don't ever do anything in the city they start in, at least not typically. There might be a season where they did a quick task and then kicked the team right off the show, but I didn't like that. Whereas I think it was okay starting in Munich, Germany, personally.
Yeah. They did, and they even were on a little riverboat ride at the beginning. Yeah. It looked like a little bit of bonding maybe for the teams to do together. So
we got 12 teams for the first time ever, one more than usual, and I think it's because Phil says there's no non-elimination legs this season,
which I think is a good thing, because was it last season maybe that the same team was last for every non-elimination? Maybe not every, but for several.
Well, it didn't help that last season with COVID, they knocked out 3 teams due to COVID, or like they couldn't come back because they had to film later. So they brought back 2 teams that were eliminated. And then I think one of the teams actually got a non-elimination. So it's like,
Right.
yeah. So when they brought, it just felt like we were really, it felt like we were just like wasting our time getting to the final 4, because the final 4 is really the contenders to win.
Exactly.
As we saw the whole time, especially after the COVID hit and knocked out one of the strong teams. So this season, though, we should not have that issue. As I said, like, so far, it really feels like through episodes 1 and 2 that we have no clear-cut winning team. Like, nobody's like first already or anything like that.
Right.
So, but yeah, we started Munich, Germany, and as you said on the raft, I liked the raft. It was a fun thing. Phil says we got 12 teams. There's no non-eliminations, which I do think, though, that there has to be like a non-elimination episode. And by that, I mean, I think next week's a mega leg, they said, for episode 3. Not to get too far ahead. And I think what that means is it's going to be like you get to the pit stop and they're like, continue racing, which is like technically not a non-elimination leg, but you know.
But
so
kind
leg
of.
3, yeah, leg 3 will take 2 episodes. So however you want to slice it, but it does. I do like that it's never like, well, maybe this one's a non-elimination. No, it's like, no, they're all elimination. So keep yourself on your toes.
Now Phil says, and they will be eliminated from the race, and not may be eliminated. So
I know when they first introduced the non-elimination way back in the day, first couple seasons, he would specify whether it was an elimination or not an elimination. And then one time people knew it was a non-elimination. They just were walking to the finish line, even though they were last, because they already knew they weren't going anywhere.
Oh my.
It was like, there was like the last 2 teams showed up. I believe this was season 2. And I could not tell you which teams. I could picture it though. And they were like both racing, quote unquote, to the finish line, but like it didn't really matter because they already knew it was a non-elimination. So I think it's why they've since then gone maybe eliminated, you know, gotta keep you on your toes. But here it's like truly like you will be eliminated. So
exactly.
Yeah, I like that. But then we get introduced to the scramble, and Emily, I know you have lots of thoughts on the scramble. Can you, number one, explain what is the scramble and how does it work and what do you think about it?
So essentially the scramble means that you get your clue and it has all 3 tasks on it, and you can do them in whichever order you want. So you can, I don't think it explains what the tasks are. It just gives you like a name and where they are.
It has like 3 locations on a map.
Yeah, exactly. And
or
so
something like that.
They can choose to do whichever one in whatever order they want, but they have to do all 3 before they can go to the pit stop. And I did not like the scramble. I'm really glad it was only the first episode, hopefully.
I know you text me or message me or whatever before episode 2, and you're like, oh, they better not do the scramble again. I was like, I'm pretty sure it's just a 1 episode thing, but
I didn't realize you said that. So
what's your issue with the scramble? Like, why don't you like it? Because they're doing 3 tasks. I mean, that's about normal, and they're doing it in a foreign country, which is normal. It's just that they can do them whatever order they want. So what do you have against? What do you hold personal against the scramble?
I just did not like that it was unorganized, I guess. I'm a logical thinker. I like steps. I like things to be routine. So I didn't like the change and for that reason. But also it was just hard to keep up with like what team is in what place. And I know they put it on the screen, but it's confusing still. And especially not knowing the teams yet. Like we don't really know their names or much about them yet. And so trying to keep up with who is who and where everybody is and what place they're in and the split screen. And I just really didn't care for it. It felt very like early 2000s game show and I just didn't like it. So
I think I agree with you for the most part. I think it was fun as a one-time thing because you know they want to put that in the marketing, like in the ad saying, "Oh, this season we're going to be doing a scramble," and we have they got to look for their reasons for you to hook you in as viewer because Amazing Race is already on later than normal. Like when they premiered last season, they had prime time and they were competing against nobody because Survivor wasn't on yet. Here they're airing after Survivor, and heck, next week they're after The Love Boat, and that show looks terrible, by the way. I hope it gets canceled immediately. Have you seen the ads for that new Love Boat?
No, what do you mean after The Love Boat?
So the first 2 weeks of the season so far, obviously, have been Survivor, Amazing Race, back-to-back. Perfect. Just the way it should be. However, starting next week, the night will go Survivor for an hour, The Love Boat, which is like a reality dating competition, and then Amazing Race in that order. And and The Love Boat looks terrible.
That does not sound good for The Amazing Race. It sounds like
No.
they're getting the back burner like they always
Yes.
do.
Yes.
But yeah, I don't like that at all.
They're getting the shaft, and I don't like it. Thankfully, a season 35 has already been confirmed, and I think they have already cast for it and are filming it. At minimum, I know it's already confirmed it's happening. I don't know if they've already filmed it or if they're filming it right now, but thankfully, the show isn't riding on whether this season succeeds, because they put this show in a terrible time slot. 10 p.m. Is not a great time slot, but the Love Boat does look terrible, so I have high hopes that Amazing Race will be just fine.
I hope so.
It's not really a show that you like. You don't watch with your kids Survivor, Love Boat, then Amazing Race. You would watch Survivor, Amazing Race, and then you put the kids to bed and you watch Love Boat.
Right.
Kids aren't watching Love Boat, so that's my little dealio on that. Anyway, so I agree with you. I think what made you said you like things in logical steps, and I want to say that I agree. When I was watching it, like, I liked the idea, but then in execution, it made it hard for me to keep up with, okay, who's in the lead, who's behind, like, okay, they're doing this task. Like, I think Derek and Claire did the break the ice task last, and everyone else had done it already. So in my mind, I was like, oh yeah, they're falling behind, but no, they were in like first place. They just did that one last. And
yeah, and it was kind of hard to tell, like, who was taking longer to do each task, because it wasn't in order as well. Yeah. So I just didn't like it at all.
Hopefully it's just a one-time thing. If they bring it back, it's not. It could be seasons from now. Hopefully it's just a one-time thing, though. Personally, I wasn't a big fan, but I gotta say these tasks though for episode 1, not super. They weren't super fun. I feel like episode 2 tasks are better, which we'll get to when we talk about episode 2. But episode 1, it's like what I wrote down is they had to roll a fake keg, saw some wood, and smash ice, and I'm like, this isn't really Germany. I mean, it kind of Germany, I guess, but.
And the smashing of the ice seemed way too easy.
Way too easy.
Way too easy. Especially, most people were just using a hammer or something. A
hammer and a pick or something like that.
Well, I noticed, maybe just a couple of teams used the pick. When you use the pick, you got it in like no time. When you were just using the hammer, it took maybe 60 seconds longer, but it was too easy, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. Just the tasks were very underwhelming. Thankfully, the fact that it's a premiere of a new season, and by the way, we didn't have to wait 2 years for a season like we did before. Thank goodness. And then we're in a new country, or not new country, but it's just a new season, so it kind of like lets the scramble happen, and we don't think. Whereas had the scramble been episode 2, we've been scrutinizing it, I think, a lot harder. Plus the lackluster tasks. I do think it's better to start off with a bang, and I think they start off with a whimper on the tasks, because I think episode 2 had better tasks. But
I agree.
Yeah, all these tasks to me were uninspiring. A couple teams I did want to note. First is the now unfortunate Tim and Rex combo, who I like. First off, Rex was a mess in the NFL, so knowing that he's going to be on The Amazing Race, knew that he was going to bring stuff to the table, entertainment to the table, at least, as Phil literally said at the finish mat in episode 2. But the other teams I want to mention, Rich and Dom, I only bring up because never in my life had I seen hair like hers. Until I watched Survivor and The Amazing Race back-to-back on the same night, and I saw Mariah from Survivor, and now Rich and Dom with like this colorful hair, and I'm like, I didn't even know this was a thing, but now I've seen 2 different people with it. Is this a new trend I didn't know about?
Yep, it reminds me, and you probably don't know what I'm talking about, but
probably not.
The girls, especially the millennials that are listening, are going to know what Lisa Frank is, and it reminds me of Lisa Frank, like. Beautiful. I love it. I'm all for it. It's like early 2000s. I'll have to send you a picture later so you know what I'm talking about.
I'm looking up Lisa Frank right now.
Yep, Lisa Frank, coloring books and stickers and.
Oh, coloring, but yeah, no, I recognize this. I thought it was gonna be like an actual person named Lisa Frank.
Nope.
Yeah, no, it's definitely something. I didn't know if it was like a new trend or something, because 2 people like out of left field for me at least. I was like, I didn't even know this was a thing. It's cool. I like it. It definitely. It got to the point where I didn't even know what the guy looked like on the Rich and Dom team, because I just looked at her the whole time, because I was like fascinated by her hair.
I still don't know that I could like picture him because I can only picture her hair.
Only because I'm looking at the wiki right now do I know what he looks like. But picking them out of a crowd would be easy to pick her, obviously, but him, I would be like, I don't know. Whereas everyone else here, for the most part, I think I've got a good grasp on what they look like. But him, I was like, man, like you are so overshadowed by your wife, and maybe that's what he wants. Maybe that's fine, you know.
Hey, whatever works for him.
And the other team I want to mention was the Emily and Molly team, or long lost twins. And I was like, holy crap. Like they just found each other like last year.
That is amazing to me. They must have, or I think one of them had said that their daughter did one of those DNA tests. So maybe a 23andMe or whatever it's called. And I guess found that she had an aunt, and that's how they reconnected, which is amazing.
I mean, I don't know how old they are, but they don't, as you said, one has a daughter and at minimum. And I would guess they're in their 30s, maybe 40s. Definitely not in their 20s.
Yeah, I think maybe in their 40s.
Imagine how long. Yeah, just looking at a more up close picture, I'd say in their 40s. But yeah, holy crap! Like imagine going that long and then finding out you have a twin. And their occupation, by the way, get this: one is law firm admin, the other one is healthcare admin. Like, what are the odds that they're both admins? I mean, it'd be amazing if they're both like law firm or both healthcare, but you know. Both being admins is close enough for me.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, that was pretty wild. No one else stood out to me in terms of their backstories. Anyone else stood out to you?
Not really, other than Tim. Is that his name? Yeah,
Tim and Rex.
Yeah, Tim is a Tennessee parole officer, and you and I have spent a day or two in Tennessee in our life, but
I've spent a day or two in parole.
I was about to say, unfortunately, we've never spent time on parole.
No, I have not spent time on parole. Just said that for the joke, but yeah, no, people from Tennessee does not really. I don't really care. Like Tennessee is such an overused state. It's almost like the representative for the South in a lot of ways in a lot of these shows.
And they do live in the Music City, so
somebody needs to come. Yeah. Somebody needs to come specifically from my hometown for me to care that they're from Tennessee. Because like Nashville, Tennessee is not the same as Knoxville, Tennessee is not the same as Chattanooga, Tennessee. It's not the same as Memphis, Tennessee. It's not all the same. So
nope.
I don't really care. You're from Nashville. That's like being from New York to me. Who cares?
All Everyone's moving to Nashville, so it's not surprising at all.
0 out of 10. Do not recommend moving to Nashville right now. Not a good time.
Agreed.
All right. So I don't know if you remember this, Emily. I talked about it with Mary while we were watching the episode 2. Actually, is when I really started thinking about it. In season 33, they had like these cool shots where like when they talked to the camera, they would be like sitting on a bench and they had like a large depth of field and like the framing was really cool. And I know we talked about it during our season 33 podcast. Do you remember these shots from season 33?
I do not remember those.
They did it in the first few episodes before COVID. Like they got someone was being creative, and I really liked it. I was like, wow, what a new look. It makes the season stand out. And then as soon as they came back to film after the lockdown, if you, by the way, hear lawn mowing in the background, it's because my neighbor's mowing the lawn right now. Perfect timing, neighbor. Thank you. But yeah, they did like these cool shots, and they haven't done them since the before COVID episodes, which is such a shame. I thought about it today. I was like, it really was like it's a cheap and easy way to make something stand out. And I'll send you a screenshot of that later.
Did they do it in episode 2 of this season with Phil at the end? Are you sure? Okay.
I mean, maybe with Phil at the end, and maybe that's what triggered it. But I meant more in terms of just the general of like they did it for everyone. What they did it for everyone in episodes like 1, 2, and 3 of season 33. Okay. So, yeah. I wish they had done that again, but not a huge complaint, just more of like a personal taste thing. In this episode, though, as we said, it's kind of confusing to keep up with who did what. The tasks, I wasn't really a huge fan of any of the tasks, but basically the Big Brother team of Derek and Claire finished in first. And I think I'm going to butcher this name. Is it Asta and Nina got eliminated? I don't know how to say that first name.
I think Asta, I think.
I want to say Asta, but it sounds like I'm cursing, so I was trying to.
I think it is Asta, but I could be wrong too. So
no, I mean if that's it, that's it. I can't argue with the pronunciation of a name. But yeah, they got eliminated. I feel like I didn't know who they were because there's 12 teams as the first episode, so It was whatever to me. But Derek and Claire get first.
Were they the team that at the beginning said, you know, we're two Asians, like we're the overachievers, we're the ones that are studying all the time?
Oh no, did they set themselves up like that?
I think they did.
Oh brother.
I think they did.
They struggled with the barrel rolling, which is why they got to last.
Yeah.
And frankly, all the tasks weren't that hard, so just struggling with one task is enough to end you on this first leg.
Yep.
Yeah, just the way the cookie crumbles. Apparently, they're the first team since Deborah and Steve, which were a team on the Amazing Race 4, to finish in 12th place.
Oh, wow.
Because I'm telling you, like 12 teams is so rare. I forgot the last time exactly that they did 12 teams, but that's the last time somebody was eliminated in 12th place, supposedly.
Okay.
It says the Amazing Race 15 had 12 teams, so how would a team not... Okay. Amazing Race 15 was the last season to have 12 teams, so I'm not sure how the Amazing Race 4 team... I'm looking at the wiki, and it said that Amazing Race 4 team was the last team to be eliminated. Or maybe it was the first team, I don't know. Either way, they haven't done 12 teams since season 15, so...
Okay.
Yeah. So, the season finale marks the first visit to Nashville. What the crack? Oh, man, they already know. Oh, I think you know why? Because Amazing Race already put out the whole roadmap for where they're going this season.
Oh.
That's why. I was like, how do they already know the finale's in that? I mean, like, I guess you get spoilers, but the wiki's good about not getting that. Yeah, I do know that next week they're going to, for episode 3, they're going to Italy, but
Okay.
we'll talk about that more later.
Yep.
Okay, so episode 2, as I said, episode 1, I don't really have too much. It was a pretty good episode, nothing spectacular. I think episode 2 is stronger. So do you have anything else for episode 1?
Nope, that's it.
Okay, cool. Let's move on to episode 2 then. So Emily, can you describe the start of episode 2? Because we have people in groups and they're supposed to drive to Austria, but is that what they were driving to Austria? And it was like 90 miles. Does that sound right?
Yeah. So they had 3 groups. The first group had 3 teams in it. And it was the Quentin and Maddie, the NFL cheerleaders, Derek and Claire, which is the couple from Big Brother, and then Glenda and Lumumba, I think is how you say his name.
Yeah, I struggle on that one too because I like them and I want to say it correctly, but
yeah,
I struggled.
I think it's Lumumba. I think is how Phil said it at the end of the episode. And they are the couple. I think they met at church. I don't know that they had a name.
Yeah, their backstory was like they're basically old and they just like put aside the physical differences of height and just accepted the fact that they like each other.
Yeah, I think, and he made a funny comment. I think he said that he looked right at her and she looked right over him because she's so much taller than him.
Yeah.
And
glad
so
that they're good natured about that.
Yeah, and I really like them as a team. So they started out episode 2
in Munich, I know that.
Yep, in Munich in that group, and their clue sent them to Austria, which is crazy for them to just drive a few minutes to Austria.
Well, it was an hour and a half, but yeah.
But still, I mean, that's nothing from when you're in the States, and an hour and a half just takes you to another city, not even to another state.
Yeah, true. For me, like an hour and a half keeps me, I'm still in the same state, man. The U.S. is huge. Sometimes I'm like, man, I wish I lived in Europe because it'd be so easy to drive to another country.
That's amazing to me. So,
but at the same time, when I visit Europe, I'm like, yeah, no, I'm actually glad I'm in America. I have more space. Because when I visited London, Emily, it was like cramped everywhere.
Yeah,
it was fun, but I wouldn't want to live there. So.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, they start in Munich and they got to drive down to Austria, and right away props because I don't think in 33 they ever drove to another country, if I recall. Okay. Probably because they had stricter COVID restrictions at the time.
Yeah.
Just guessing. But I appreciate the fact that even though they're probably all going to be on the same plane together when they fly somewhere, I appreciate that they just had them drive to another country, therefore giving some way for somebody to screw up instead of flying people to the exact spot they need to be, therefore eliminating chances to screw up. Because as we saw, the cheerleaders went from like, what was it? Were they in the first group and then they dropped they finished the leg in 11th? Yeah,
they drove within Germany thinking the location was in Germany. They did not realize the location was in Austria. So
they thought it was like a place in Austria or like a street in Austria or something crazy like that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
But they really, really screwed up by going to the wrong location. So
if Tim and Rex didn't suck so much, they would have survived.
yeah, I think Rex.
I mean, they would have been gone.
Rex he said he's dyslexic, which really hurt him this episode with reading the words and then reading the letters when they were doing the bells. So, I do
like how Rex says he only defensive drives in Europe. When he's back in America, it's a fair game for everybody or something like that.
I know. I thought that was funny too.
Yeah, that was pretty good. I wish Rex was on more this season. That tends to be the case with celebrities somewhat. Those entertaining celebrities don't make it very far, but they're usually the most entertaining.
Exactly.
If we ever do a celebrity Amazing Race, that would be fun as a one-time thing.
That would be really fun.
I would watch that. Celebrity Survivor, I think, would be too nice. People would be too nice to each other. They wouldn't be too cutthroat because people want to come off as nice. Amazing Race is like that one show where I think people could play Amazing Race for fun as celebrities, and it would be enjoyable to watch.
I agree.
Like Survivor would not work.
And Rex said he lost 50 pounds just for this, so I think this made him a better person.
Yeah, well, hopefully he keeps it off.
That is true.
Yeah, that's the big part, not putting it back on. So we get the one team mixed up on which country to be in. I love how they were using like maps, and all these people holding their phones looking up Google Maps are confused as to like why they're using physical maps. Like, where are we in the 2000s, the 90s?
Yeah, they're so confused. They're like, why don't you just pull out your phone?
yeah, and they're probably like, the cameraman's following me because I'm in a race, and it's like a whole thing. And people are like confused. Like, okay, why don't you just use the GPS like a normal human being in 2022?
Honestly, it's smart of them to find somebody with a phone though, because that's what I would do. I wouldn't be able to read that map.
No, I mean, I think I would be able to read the map. Would I understand it is a different question. Because where am I in Austria? I've only been here for like a day. I'm sorry, in Germany. I've only been here for a day, and I'm sure all the roads are not in English because they're driving through Germany.
Right.
And I don't know. I don't think Austria's main language is English. If I just top of my head, I could be wrong on that.
Yeah, maps take a long time to look at. I mean, just 6 years ago, my husband works on the ambulance, and just 6 years ago, they had to use a map book to get to people's houses.
Oh, no.
Just 6 years ago. Yeah, let me break out my map book when you're calling 911.
Why? I don't 2016?
know. I don't know. Yes, in 2016. So, so finally they were able to purchase their own GPS if they wanted to.
Oh, thank goodness.
So, yeah.
Like, okay, yeah, we're trying to get to we're trying to come save you from your heart attack and bring you to the hospital. But first, we got to look at our map. Okay, so if we drive down here, we take
Exactly. So
come on, hospital, stop cheaping out.
If I ever went on the Amazing Race, I'd have to bring him because he'd be good at that, and I would not.
Oh, yeah. If Mary and I did it, we already know I'm the navigator and she's the driver.
Yep.
Solely because Mary, under pressure, is terrible with directions. She can take direction, but under pressure, she's not good at like reading directions.
I'm always terrible with directions, so
I generally know where we're at and how to get to where we're going. But I would be the direction person. So Aaron would be driving. You'd be driving. Aaron would be giving directions.
Yep.
So the women are driving and the men are giving directions.
Exactly.
In our situations.
Exactly.
But yeah. Okay. So. Here we have the first roadblock is yodeling. And right away, Mary and I are like, holy crap, Austria is gorgeous.
It is. Like, the drive to Austria, that was amazing.
Yeah. Germany is okay, but Austria is like, I know it's like they're so close to each other, but wow, those like mountains and just the general countryside is like beautiful there. I now am considering visiting Austria more than I ever have my entire life from seeing this episode.
I definitely would.
It wasn't on my bucket list. Now it is. So just need to go on like a Euro trip I need to have a lot more money. Yeah, Austria is gorgeous, and the roadblock is yodeling, and Derek and Claire are there first, and quickly that like turns south as everyone else seems to catch on quicker. Can you explain how this roadblock works?
Yes. So the team, of course, they had to choose one person to do it, and they had to yodel 3 different like songs, I guess, or I don't know what they called them, but 3 different songs, and they would have to yodel
3 different verses, I think.
Verses, yes, 3 different verses, and they had to yodel with someone else, and they had to like go back and forth, but they also had to do like little moves or actions, they called them. So they had to yodel and they had to do actions at the same time for each verse to get through the roadblock.
And yeah, that's basically it. Derek and Claire. Claire blows it hard, goes from first to next to last, only because the cheerleaders weren't there yet, because they blow through it quick. She would have been in last had the cheerleaders not got lost. But with the yodeling, it's first off, it's fun. I like how the guys were goofing with them and like trying to act like they're doing a huddle to decide. They got to throw their hats. There was a beautiful scenery where they're doing it at. So, even though they're all stressed out, like at the same time, it's like, look where we're at doing this yodeling. This is super cool.
I know. It was so cool.
You could see a little village, like I don't know. I call it a village. It's probably just a small town, like like not that far in the distance from where they were. And I was like, oh my gosh, this place.
Oh,
Travelocity.
I haven't seen the gnome yet. Have you?
No. That will come up in a later episode. They'll be given the gnome at the beginning. Travelocity always gets like their own episode.
Okay, I got you.
It'll be like, I bet you it'll be like episode 5, 6, 7, somewhere in there usually is when it falls. Okay. And they'll get the gnome at the beginning and they'll have to keep it the whole time. And they'll go, oh my gosh, gnome, you're doing such a good job being our helper. And
I thought that the gnome, like, not that they carried it the whole time, but that it showed up in every episode before. Was that true, or did I dream that?
Maybe in one season, but even then, I don't think so. It's always been one episode of every season.
Okay.
It's almost like Travelocity is always in one episode of the season. We're kind of like Applebee's is becoming the one episode of every Survivor season. Hopefully,
yeah, the terrible Applebee's food.
Hey, first off, Applebee's is my favorite sit-down restaurant.
No, it's not.
No, that's what Krishma said. All right,
my gosh.
So they do the yodeling. Okay, so I gotta say, I want to do this experiment as we go through, and I should have done it before, but with the episode 1, but it's okay because that wasn't really a proper like set of tasks. So here, if it was you and Aaron, you and your husband, who would be doing the yodeling?
Oh gosh, definitely him.
Mary.
Definitely him, because my husband sings, and so surely he would be good at memorizing and knowing how to say all of those words.
For me, it'd be Mary, because first off, this whole leg was like Mary's dream. Unfortunately, Mary doesn't have time to do Amazing Race podcast. This is like the one time where I was like, oh, we're at a location Mary would absolutely adore being at. I mean, most of the time it's cool, but this one's like Mary's like, this is what she wants.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, Mary would be the one to sing, and I would be the one to just watch and laugh. And I'd be like, oh, you look so cute in your dress. That would basically be the extent of my work.
Your wife and my husband are both the musical people in the family. Yes. So
this is true. So I actually think we do pretty good on this task. The first 3 of the scramble, I feel like was a crapshoot on that from the first episode, but here. And then we have Derek and Claire, as we mentioned before, go from first to next to last because the cheerleaders got so lost. They show up last to that yodeling, but they blow through it from what we can tell. So the detour is either to ring bells or to a partner dance. And to me, it didn't seem like there's a clear, like, this is the faster task. At first, I thought it would be the bells, but that wasn't necessarily the case. I
agree with that. I think they were both equally difficult, but depending on the team, of course the dancers are going to be better at the dancing task, but I feel like they were both equal time and difficulty, of course, depending on what you're good at, but
yeah. So for this one, I think Mary and I would have picked bells because her and I are not good dancers. It's just not weird. That's not our forte. But what about you and Aaron? I
don't know. He's good with music, but he does not have the moves, I will say. However, I've gained a little bit of a TikTok following for doing TikTok dances. So I don't know. Maybe we'd have to do the dancing.
Yeah, I don't know. That's pretty crazy. The dancing, I would love to see that. You do that. But okay. So we see this, and basically it comes down to, can you dance or not? And there's no clear better task. I would do the bells because the bells was a lot of timing, and the dancing it wasn't just timing. It was definitely skill as well. But I think it really depends on your skill set. So I would hope I would do okay at the bells, but I could see myself struggling here.
Oh yeah. I don't think I could do the bells. It looked like they had to pick up 2 different sets of bells at the same time and ring. I can't do 2 things at once. So I don't know if I could do the bells.
Yeah. Yeah. I would have to go for it though, because there's no way I'm doing the dancing. So we do see pretty much everyone blow through these with the exception of a couple teams. Derek and Claire, of course, excel because they go from, I believe it was 10th place to 4th place out of this task.
Yep,
they really
they did.
pick up the slack. And this leg ends up with, I forgot who got first, top of my head. I gotta look. Marcus and Michael got first on this leg.
Yep, the military brothers.
Yeah. Followed by Glenda and I'm gonna butcher this name. Lumumba. I think it's Lumumba.
It's either Lumumba or Lumumba.
Yeah, one or the other. Either way, they got first and second. And then Derek and Claire, though, got fourth. So they really picked up the pace, which, man, for some teams, that would be like a death, falling to next to last. Could have been like, they could be stuck in the back of the pack, as we've seen in many other seasons. But here, that was not the case.
Yep,
so.
And we saw Dom and Rich not be able to check in when they got to the mat.
Oh, yes. Can you please explain this? Because that's a good point.
Yep. So I noticed, which I'm not very good at noticing the little details, and maybe this isn't a little detail for some, but when they were getting out of their car, the editors put in that little da-da-da-da-da sound, because it says on the ticket or on the clue that you have to have your full outfit on to check in. And so when I heard that, I knew that they left something in the car. And then when they got to the mat, Phil said, "I'm sorry, I can't check you in because you don't have your hat."
Yeah.
And Dom says, "But I guess it fell off while I was running," expecting him to be like, "Oh, okay, well, that's fine."
Yeah.
You know,
no, it's fine. You can break the rules, of course.
Yeah. And he says, "Oh, I'm sorry. You have to retrace your steps and try to find it." And then she goes, "Oh, wait, it's in the car." Like, she was just trying to get out of going back to the car.
It's almost, I think she may have been in a panic and thought she lost it.
That too.
I'll give some leeway. Maybe she just panicked and thought, "Oh, no, I think I lost when I was running." But if she didn't and she already knew, that's kind of like a child, like, trying to get out of something.
Exactly.
It's just the instinct, like, oh, well, I lost it. There's no way I'll ever get it. Well, you better go find it.
Yep. That's part of it.
That's part. You're getting a penalty, I guess. I'm surprised he didn't say, or you can take a penalty. Yep. And the penalty probably would have been killer, because I don't think the gap between first and last was more than an hour or two, I'm going to guess.
Right.
Yeah. So the penalty would have killed them. So yeah, you got to go find your hat. And it was just in the car. And by the way, when they find it in the car, Mary immediately goes, "They didn't close the door." And I'm like, I don't think that's their top priority, Mary.
They didn't? I didn't notice that.
When she got her hat, I don't think she closed the door behind her, but it's like so quick. And maybe she did. Like, Mary noticed that thing because Mary like, "We got to close the door." Like, okay, there's people here with cameras. Like, they're going to close it for us. Like,
honestly, I relate to Mary on that. I would have been like, I have to close the door before I can go back.
Oh my gosh. Like, the race is on the line, worry about closing the door, but it doesn't take but a few seconds. I understand.
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, Tim and Rex get eliminated. I wrote down that's sad because originally they were my favorite team. Not that I thought they were going to win, but they were my favorite team. Yep. On the race because I
really wanted them to win too. They really got stuck at the bells. So
yeah, that's true. They got stuck at the bells for sure. Unfortunate. And like, that's the thing with the extended time is, so in episode 1, without the episode being extended, we didn't really get to see everyone checking in. Like, it was very quick. But here we actually got everyone properly getting, you got blank. You are team number, and where episode 1, we didn't really get that for every single team. We just got like, "Oh, hey, Phil, hey." And like, that was it. We didn't get like your team number 6 or anything. Right. For most of them. Here we got the whole thing. And here we even got Phil going, "Oh, we really wanted you to make it further, Tim and Rex." And so I'm wondering, who did Phil want eliminated? Since Phil didn't want Tim and Rex eliminated, who did he want eliminated?
I don't know. I feel like, does he usually talk that much to the team? I feel like he was getting emotional about them being eliminated.
He talks that much if you ever watch the unedited pit stops, which they do usually put on YouTube, I believe, or at least on the DVDs. But I believe on YouTube, he does talk that much. But that's what I'm saying, with the extended time, they were able to actually show it, because normally it's just like cut short. It's a lot shorter. And he was getting a little emotional because I think Phil wasn't wanting them to get eliminated. I want to know who Phil wanted eliminated.
I know. I need to know.
He will not answer this question, but I wish I knew who he wanted. He's like, "Anyone but you."
Yeah, he is definitely a very typical host where he doesn't show. I mean, this time he did show a little bit of personality. But I think, I'm comparing him to Jeff in Survivor, of course. And Jeff gets a little more.
Oh, Jeff plays favorites.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Boston Rob.
Yeah. Literally, Island of the Idols is like, Jeff's like, how do I get Boston Rob on a season? What if I make an island where he's considered a little G god? Like, okay, Jeff. We get it. Okay, Amber got in your way. We're sorry.
Exactly.
He should have married you. Okay.
Phil is nothing like that, so.
I will say there is somebody in the past, Emily, who would always get mad if I brought up Boston Rob and Amber on the Amazing Race podcast. So I always have to fulfill my obligation to at least one time mention them. I don't give into the pressures. I'll talk about Boston Rob and Amber if I feel like it. All right. So next time on the Amazing Race is we have a mega leg in Italy. What this means for those who are unaware, they're going to go to Italy. They are going to do a whole episode worth of stuff, and then Phil's going to go, "Oh, thanks for meeting me here, but you're still racing." And it's just a way of them having a non-elimination episode without saying it's a non-eliminate, because they want to have the marketing of there's no non-elimination episodes. But next week, no one's getting eliminated.
Yeah.
So we won't have an elimination episode until episode 4, which will be in 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah. So they're going to do a mega leg, aka they're going to do double the task in Italy next week.
So every week from now on, is Love Boat going to be in between?
Yes, unfortunately.
Okay.
Which means I won't be watching until the next morning, because that's when I'm staying up. That's late.
It's really late for me. It's not as late for you, but definitely really late for me.
Yeah, because you're East time zone, I'm Central time zone, so it's a little bit better. But
yep.
We usually record our Survivor podcast afterwards anyway, so I usually wait till next morning. But if I was to watch casually, I would just wait till the next morning anyways, because I'm not watching stupid Love Boat. I hope it fails. I hope the whole stupid Love Boat show fails. Every show they try putting on after Survivor, it's not the Amazing Race, fails, by the way. Like TKO, Beyond. Remember last year, Beyond the Edge? Beyond got canceled after one season.
Oh gosh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, because it's not good.
Yeah.
Just do the Amazing Race.
Especially when you put it right after Survivor.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, just do it on another night.
Yeah, like stop ruining stop ruining my Wednesday. Just have 90 minutes of Survivor, 90 minutes of Amazing Race until I die, okay?
I bet they are definitely doing it just for US.
Well, no, I think last night was an experiment with the 90 minutes each, and I really do hope that it panned out and that they'll do that more so in Survivor 44 with 90 minute episodes.
I hope so. At least Survivor, if not both of them.
Yeah, well, ideally, season 35 Amazing Race will be after Survivor next season as well, and they'll do both 90 minutes like almost every week. That would be amazing. That would be awesome.
Perfect. Yep.
Yes. Yeah, and dump the Love Boat. What a waste of money. You might as well dump your money in the ocean to be better used. Okay, so let's do winner picks. These are our top 3 teams that we think are on track to win. Unlike Survivor, there's not really an edit to read here. We just have to go based on how people are performing on navigation, during tasks, how they communicate. So that's really what we're going off of. There's no edit to read, unlike Survivor. So with that, Emily, who is your number 3 team?
So my number 3 team is Emily and Molly, and those are the long lost sisters. Mm-hmm. And I'm not basing that off of like their skills, because I just don't feel like I know the teams well enough to really be able to base it off their skills yet. But I just want them to be able to spend time together. So I hope that they make it far.
I just want them to spend time together again.
Well, they did talk about it in episode 2 about, because they don't live anywhere near each other. I can't remember where they live, but this is like their time to bond and stuff. And so and it'll be interesting to see, like, identical twins. Are they actually able to work well together after never being with each other, for however many years they were separated? So they're my number 3.
It's a great question. But no one here is like straight up fighting with each other yet.
Thank God.
Well, I'm always down for one team to do it. I just feel like whenever it happens, the show likes to focus on that team more so than anyone else. That's the only downside.
Yeah.
But I'm always down for one team not getting along, but also succeeding at the same time.
Yep.
So my number 3 team is Quentin and Maddie, aka the cheerleaders. I think they showed a lot this week, even though they screwed up at the beginning. They blew through these tasks.
That's true.
They blew through them, and while I think they finished next to last, if I recall. They made up so much time from that blown directions.
Yeah, I feel like any kind of of the dancing or singing or any artistic task, I think they're going to be good at. So.
but also they didn't like get like overly mad at each other, which
No.
some teams will do if they make that big of a screw up.
Yep.
And so that kind of like that willingness to like work things through, it really helped. And they got through. So they finished 3rd in episode 1. They finished 10th in leg 2. So leg 2 is obviously a downer, but first leg showed that, okay, they're a top 3 team. And so we'll see how that goes next couple of episodes. Whereas Emily and Molly, the team that you mentioned, finished 5th and finished 7th. So about middle of the pack so far, but that could change.
Yep.
All right. So who's your number 2 team?
My number 2 is Derek and Claire, which they are the couple from Big Brother.
Yep.
And I think that what we saw, of course, they came in the first leg.
First
so,
leg, yeah.
I mean, but that doesn't say everything. So, but they seem to be strong in tasks and they seem to be good at navigation. So although Claire did have some struggles today or on episode 2 with the yodeling, they made up a lot of time. And they did mention being good at navigation. So I think I think if you're strong in navigation, you can make up so much time with if you fall behind in the tasks, you can make up a lot of time.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're getting lost and you don't know where you're going and you're getting frustrated, I don't know. So I think
they're also my number 2. I agree with you.
They're a strong contender for sure.
It's hard to ignore the first place finish, but it's really hard to ignore how much they picked themselves up from next to last this episode to get in 4th.
Yep.
So, and they're young and they've been on a reality TV show before. I didn't watch Big Brother 23, but I know that they made it pretty far from my recollection of that, how the season went down. So they're used to the pressure. The pressure shouldn't be anything new.
Yeah, they seem to be good with the pressure. Derek says Claire's the smartest person he knows, so hopefully her brains will also help them.
Sometimes you just say these things, you know.
She did say he was the muscles, and I don't think he's the muscle of the team. So.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So she might have been lying too. I don't know.
Sometimes you're just, madly in love. It's a new relationship. You just say things,
Yeah, they've only been together 8 months. Maybe you really believe them,
but are they true?
Yeah,
that's the question. Okay, so I want to see if your number 1 lines up with my number 1. So I'm gonna say my number 1. My number 1 is Glenda and Lumbamba.
Mine too.
Yeah. Well, theirs was a bit more first off, I like them, which is always helpful. But really, it's because they got back-to-back second place finishes, and that's impossible to ignore. That's the most consistent out of all the teams.
Yeah, and they seem to work well together. I think the only little snarky comment I heard was she was saying we should get, turn by turn directions or something like that whenever the person was helping them with the phone. And he was like, no, that's not how I do things. Yeah. But other than that, I feel like they work well together.
But they're newlyweds. So
yeah, they are.
That's just stuff you got to work through. They are older, though, being in their 40s. And usually, though the Holder and his family in 33 proved that didn't really matter to them. Usually winners are in the 20s and the 30s. The 40s usually not as often, but that doesn't stop you from winning. I think it's more of it wears you wear down over time easier than the other teams.
Yep, I think so too.
We'll see if they can maintain. The top 2 though, back to back is very promising. Plus, I like them.
Yeah, I like them too.
Yeah, fun backstory. They're fun as people. I could see how somebody, if they heard the short jokes 24/7, could get old of them. But I only see them once a week for about an hour, so I'm good.
Yep.
Perfect amount of time for short jokes.
Exactly.
Okay, well, that's all I have for winner picks. Do you have anything else for winner picks?
That's it.
Okay, well, I got a few questions on YouTube every week. Oh, that's not true. Every week after Survivor, I ask for questions, but every week that we do an Amazing Race podcast on my community tab on YouTube, I'll ask for questions. So this week I got a few, and our first one, Emily, is Charlie Smith asked, do you think Derek and Claire will run a similar game to Rob and Amber? Meaning... Well, first off, I'm going to answer this. I don't think so because Rob and Amber played a very villainous Amazing Race game both times. Derek and Claire aren't villains, are they?
I don't think so. And I can't recall how Rob and Amber play. I don't know that I've ever seen those seasons, to be honest with you.
You should watch them. Holy cow. Season 7, Emily, will change your view of Rob and Amber. He plays so ruthless.
Okay, season 7.
For Amazing Race, Emily, it's like the most ruthless I've ever seen a team play.
Wow.
Just absolutely brutal. Just
okay.
Just taking advantage of every rule that they hadn't made yet in the book. Like, Rob's finding all the loopholes that they end up changing after that season.
The real question is, did Phil appreciate Rob as much as Jeff?
No. If I recall, Phil didn't want Rob and Amber back, but they were so popular that they brought them back for an all-star season.
That's funny.
You should definitely watch season 7. I highly recommend it.
Okay, I'll do that.
Then they come back for 11 afterwards, but watch 7 first, obviously. So the next question is from Melissa Pinkerton. What do you think of the cheerleaders' potential? I put them in my top 3 of winner picks, so I think their potential is to reach final episode, if not final 4.
I think so too. They flew through those tasks today, so I think that they have good potential.
And I want to correct myself. I think final 4 is usually a finale. Well, most of the time, no, not always, I guess. Usually the final leg is the final 3 teams, but sometimes they'll do a leg where they have 4 teams and they'll eliminate one along the way.
Okay.
In the finale. But yeah, I think their final 4, their potential is final 4. They could win, of course, but I think their potential is final 4. So what did you say, Emily?
I think they have good potential.
Yeah. Next question is from Madeleine. I need your predictions on how long Dom is going to last. Rich and Dom. I think they're middle of the pack, personally.
Yeah, I think so too. I think she seems to get stressed very easily. Mm-hmm. Even at the end when Phil said, "Your team number, whatever." I can't remember.
Yeah.
What it was.
They got team number 9 in episode 1 and episode 2, so they're not even middle of the pack. They're below average.
Yeah, team number 9. She's wasn't even oh, thank the universe, as she said earlier in the episode.
Oh, thank the universe for all the good things are happening to me.
Yes.
Just the general space around me. Just the air. Thank you, air.
She didn't even say that at the end. Yeah. She just looked even more stressed that he said that. So I think she definitely gets stressed easily. So we'll see how that plays out.
And you could say they would have finished higher in second leg had they not forgotten the hat. And it's things like that get teams eliminated. So
yeah, those are the small details.
Those are the details of Amazing Race. Read your clue. Always read your clue. It's classic. It's classic. Next question is from Patrick. He asks, which team do you think has the best dance moves?
Oh, good question.
I wasn't paying close attention to this one. I want to say Glenda and Lumumba.
Yeah, they were good.
I like them.
And then, you know who surprised me that was not good was the girl, what was her name? Who owns the dance studio? Ballroom
dancers, Aubrey and David?
No, there's them. They probably have the best dance moves. There's a girl on there, the one that she smiles a lot. She's really happy. She talks a lot.
Abby and Will. I'm just going to start reading
Abby. I think it might be Abby.
Oh, was it Abby and Will? Okay.
Is she blonde?
Yes.
Yeah, it's her. She owns a dance studio, and she was like, "Oh, any dance task, I'll be good at it. I'll be good." And then I watched her dance, and I was like, I don't know.
You're I'm not sure if I want to learn from you anymore.
Yeah, she should definitely stick. She should stick to owning the studio for sure. So,
Emily, it's so harsh. I love it.
So anyway, I think she did not have the good dance moves, but the ballroom dancers, maybe they have dance moves.
Okay, I personally have no opinion, Patrick. I'm going to say Glenda and Lumumba, but that doesn't mean I was paying attention. It's just who I like. Last question from Owen Pierce. Do you think that any new twists may come up for the season that we have not yet seen? Any new twists? Oh, usually they like to front load their new twists, like put them in the first episode or tell you at the beginning.
Well, the scramble was kind of a twist, but it was only for one episode. So.
Yeah, but he's saying upcoming in the future, not what's already happened.
I see.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think so.
You got me there. I don't know spoilers. I don't want to know spoilers. So if you know something I don't, then great. But I think the only upcoming twist is how many episodes are we getting? Because how many mega legs are we going to get? Is it just going to be the usual 10 legs, or are we going to get more than that? I don't know yet.
On the wiki thing, didn't it say 10?
Yeah, but I think I mean, and that may be the case. The wiki may already know, which is very possible. But I think that's just a placeholder. That's just there until... They didn't know leg 3 was going to be 2 parts until after last night.
Okay.
Unless they're spoiled, of course, which is very possible. Mm-hmm. But yeah, unless if they bring up any new twists, I would actually be surprised. Usually they put those usually Amazing Race puts those in the front, from my recollection. So they let you know in the front if they're going to do something new like that. It's not like Survivor. It's like, oh, it's the finale time. Let's throw a twist in for funsies. So, all right. Well, I think that's all we have for this week. Do you have anything else, Emily?
That's it.
Okay. Well, I thank you all for listening, and we'll see you in a few weeks for our next Amazing Race podcast. Bye.
Bye.